Good evening. Welcome to the Leader's Edge. It's now Season 5, Episode 11. And the title for tonight's show is Cruising Past 70. If you're like our speaker tonight, who was able to make really great decisions early in her life, then from her viewpoint, you will be cruising well all the way till the end. Well, our speaker, Carol Esguerra-Colborn, was in the past the president and CEO of BayanTrade, an advisor to the Commission on Elections, a deputy commissioner for the Bureau of Internal Revenue. Back then, she was also managing director for SAP Philippines, and of course, the general manager of Megalink. She was the vice president as well of the Development Academy of the Philippines. And now in the United States, where she migrated, got married to Bill, she is a small business counselor for the Service Corps of Retired Executives of the United States and adjunct professor for Central Washington University, Seattle Community College, and the Renton Technical College. She is as well a published author, having written Cruising to an American Dream, to which I attended the book launching and I have a signed copy of that book. But, it's not just about her journeys that she's going to be talking about. It's also going to be about her inner ones. She is a graduate of BS Math, MBA, DPA, all from the University of the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome to our virtual stage our honored guest, Carol Esguerra-Colborn. Carol?
Hi, thank you, Dino. For all intents and purposes, I have stopped using the word retirement. It is such a passive word that connotes just the act of leaving one's job and ceasing to work. In other words, it is just a simple point in time. In 2004, I did just that at the age of 54. What happened after, however, is a whole different ball game. And I tried to look for the word that would describe that period that evolved in my life. And I came up with the word cruising. From my first book, Carolina Cruising to an American Dream, I defined cruising as a pace of life, a slow drive for sustained enjoyment. After studying hard until you're in your mid-20s, working hard until you're in your mid-50s, sometimes for some people it's mid-60s, you arrive at this particular period in your life, which can be an enviable state. You know what? It also is a good long one if you prepared hard for it. It could be 20, 30 or more years. Science says that it's possible for our bodies to last for 150 years. Would you believe? But I believe, Dino, there are three factors that lead you to this time of your life to be enviable. One, financial freedom. Two, physical fitness. And three, emotional stability. First, financial freedom. How can you do cruising when you have to worry about how to get the funds to play your favorite sport or to travel in style, in comfort to the places you've always dreamed of, or to dine at your favorite restaurants, to eat what you want to eat? In other words, after leaving your work, you must have saved enough money to take care not only of your basic needs, but also to meet the wants. Second, physical fitness. How can you cruise when you can't even get up or get out of the house, much less take a trip to a faraway land or to eat the foods that you crave that's supposed to be bad for you? In other words, after going through the first two phases of study hard and work hard, you are still fit enough to do all the things you want to do when you finally have the time to do it, diba? I mean, But third, and this is what I failed to do, this is where I actually failed, emotional stability. How can you cruise when you're not emotionally stable, surrounded by the people you love, that is the kind of health and wealth that is different, you know. School and workplaces always gave us that social milieu where you can find the friends, not just family, but friends, people who have accepted you as companions in life. Actually, to confess to you, I studied and worked so hard that I destroyed my marriage. Yes, I destroyed my marriage. And therefore, when I was about to retire, I had only my three daughters with me and they were beginning their own lives. What kind of enjoyment can I have after work if there's nobody to accompany me? And I felt I was the kind of person who needed somebody with her. And therefore, that third pillar of a good enjoyment cruising after 60 or after 70, I was not going to have unless I did something about it. And I did. I projectized my search. The search for a lifetime partner was a very clear indication for me that I had to stop working and begin to search for him. And I succeeded. What do you think of my life story?
If I may, I'd like to start at the beginning, because we
Okay.
talk about making good decisions early. In your life, what would those good decisions be? The ones that you feel were critical and early enough that it allowed you to be where you are now.
Well, the first thing, as I said, two things: study hard and work hard.
Okay.
Study hard. As early as grade one, my first year in school, I decided I'm going to be the best student. I studied so hard. I didn't, every test has to be 100. And when I
Wow.
graduated, I had to be valedictorian. I mean, we were so poor, Dino. We lived in the squatters in the slums of Sampaloc, Manila. And there was a creek, a very dark creek beside our house. And where we built a, ano ba yun, tulay? And that was our toilet.
Oh my
Oh yeah, we were
God.
in a shack. Yes. So I really felt like I had to get out of poverty and even help my family get out of poverty. And the only way I knew how was to do well in school. And I'm glad I burned the midnight oil. I studied very hard and I graduated with honors for every single part of my school year, including scholarships for high school and in college.
And
There's
you
no
know, I
substitute.
I'd agree with you 100% because I've known and worked with some of your siblings, your family members. My former boss was Ellen,
Oh, yes.
who I terribly miss because she's been gone such a long time, but she really earned my respect with her work ethic and the reputation she made in her own industry. So, Carol, I'm just curious because after you had such a hectic life, I mean, looking at your achievements and all the companies that you were involved with, both public and private, was it a difficult transition for you, from that kind of operating tempo to suddenly being in a retired state? Was there a shock, or was there I wouldn't call it a culture shock, but I'd call it a tempo shock that you had to overcome or go through?
My pace actually has not really slowed down that much. There was just a change, the big change. And as I told you, I've stopped using the word retirement. Retirement was that point in time when I ceased working for money. Okay, I ceased working for money. But then I began to do things that have always postponed, but have always wanted to do. So my schedule, is actually the same, but it's just that I find more enjoyment in it. It's not something that I have to do. There are things I want to do. Okay, so there's not much of a shift. As a matter of fact, my husband is complaining now that I have gone back to my pace during my career days because I'm writing for a magazine now and I write books. There's a little bit of compensation for what I'm doing. It's turned not just into a hobby, but some sort of work. But what I'm saying is it's not work to be paid so that you can live your life, but it's
Mhm.
work that you do because you enjoy it. And even though I'm getting paid a little bit of amount for it, It's not work for me. It's really fun. So there's
You know,
not really a shift in pace. I say cruising, huh? Cruising I define to be a shift to a pace of life, but it's really a kind of life, a quality of life, a shift. Because I in the beginning I thought, okay, I'm going to relax now. I'm going to do this, and in the first few months maybe. But then when we were traveling, we were leaving one place, staying in one place for 3 4 days, and going to the next. How many places in the world can you go to? 1,000,001. So even if you go 3 or 4 days each, you have a lifetime. And I have only done maybe 20% of what I want to travel to. So that it's not really the pace of life, it's the quality of life that's different. It's not that you're obligated to work. It's because you want to do it.
that's something that I'd like our viewers to really take away from this particular episode. Is that everybody please listen to what Carol is saying. There was a big difference between the early part of her life where she needed to do things versus now where she likes doing what she's doing. That is an enormous improvement in what she has called the quality of her life. If you really want to enjoy your life, I mean, never mind this pandemic, never mind the restrictions, the ECQ, whatever Q they call it, could be a banana queue for all I care. But
Oh, yeah.
if you love what you do the way Carol does, there's quality.
And even during pandemics, my last book is talking about uh, it's not only about outer journeys, but it's about inner ones. Because you don't have to be up, out and about to enjoy life. You can go deep inside yourself and see how much you're growing. And really look at that seed that you planted 10 years ago, and now it's going sprouting na pala leaves and flowers. That innermost look into yourselves just is pure enjoyment too. So there's a lot of enjoyment in so many things, even if you're locked down. Even if you're locked down.
I'm curious though, Carol, because you're now on your second book. And I
Oh
remember that,
no, I'm on my fourth.
oh, oh my gosh, okay. Just checking if you're alert.
Listening.
You're on your fourth na pala. Okay. So imagine that, no, previously before this era of inoculations and quarantine, there was those magnificent moments of book launchings, having your friends over, having cocktails and signing stuff. Of course, that meant as well that you could go into hardcover or hard copy publishing. Have you shifted over into, say, soft copy or ebooks
Ebooks? Oh yes,
because of
definitely
this?
more. Definitely more book sales are now ebooks because of this.
Mm.
There was even up to now, shipping costs are so huge because of the restructuring of the supply chains and the fact that not many people are manning production lines and everything like that. To ship my book, which costs $8, to the Philippines costs $11.
Yeah,
So the shipping cost is even more than the book
the book
itself.
is.
Yeah, so we're really trying to a lot. That's why I publish through Kindle Direct Publishing. Also because it's free. Anybody can publish a book using KDP. It's free, and the only caveat is it gets exclusively distributed by Amazon. Nobody else can distribute it, but it's
Oh,
okay. Amazon is the biggest distributor, so that what's the problem, right? So
yeah.
more of the books are now sold through ebooks because of that. The
Now, I'm
shipping
curious.
costs are so expensive.
If it's an ebook, would that mean that we'll be able to not only read it, but do you have a version where you narrate the book itself?
Oh yeah,
So
audiobook. Yes, audiobook. Yes.
yeah. So I'd love to be able to buy some of those, and then as I
Yes.
go on my virtual jogs, for exercise, hear
Oh
you
yeah,
in
just put
my
it there.
my
Yes,
ears,
yes,
yeah.
yes.
Learn from you, and at the same time,
Technology is there for everything you want to do. It's available.
mm, one thing that beggars the question, I'm sure our viewers are too, especially those who are still married. How does Bill cope with your pace? I mean, is he okay with it?
He's a very supportive guy. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to travel like I'm doing now without him. First of all, he said, "You know what we should do? We should RV." and we RV'd for 8 years. He bought an RV, and then I lived in every state for at least a week, and also 10 Canadian provinces and 8 Mexican states and 46 countries now. So, but not RVing. The countries we just go to live in timeshares. So it's because of him, his love for travel, that I got into it. What was the better part of the whole thing besides the travel adventures is that I wrote about them. And that's how
Yeah.
I began this new career of sorts. I wrote about our adventures in a blog. My blog is 10 years old. I've had 500 plus blog posts and 1 million plus views. And I've wrote about every single part of our adventures. And from there came 3 books. And I'm writing the 4th one, actually. So he's been very supportive. It's just that social media has captured my attention so much, and it's growing and growing and growing, that I spend actually 4 hours of my day in social media and 4 hours of my day writing. So I only have 4 hours for him. So he has complained lately. And I am trying to change that because, we're not really getting any younger. We have a few years together left. So I really have to change that. Actually, it's our anniversary tomorrow. And
Oh.
I have never been married this long, Dino. You know me. This is my 3rd husband. And my
Yes.
first was for 9 years. My second was for 2 years. And with him, I've been married for 13 years.
Wow.
And I have become a wife. Would you believe? So I've heard his complaints, and I didn't run for an office like the UP Alumni Association, which takes a lot of my time. So I'm going to give more time to him. But I
I'm sure
don't,
he.
not in favor, but I don't want to reduce my writing. That's what I want to keep.
I'm certain that he appreciates that, because in our previous episode, when I interviewed Carmi Pascual de Leon, her husband is equally very supportive of her, and so they have this unique synergy going. And thank you for those words, because I'm sure when mom hears this, it will only be an encouragement for her, considering that she's already been through 2 husbands herself.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm sure somewhere in her heart she's still looking forward to a third.
Oh yes, I met Bill when I was 60. I married him at 60. It's
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
possible at any age. And that's where I mean that's my 4th book, by the way. Finding your lifetime partner.
Oh my gosh. Oh, for our viewers out there, please do listen carefully to this, because finding your lifetime partner, the ideal one, doesn't have to be as difficult as it sounds. I mean, I'm sure Carol can share with us some tips on how you can find your perfect partner. How did you find Bill, Carol?
On the internet.
Oh,
That is
oh, okay.
the first lesson I'm going to. There are 5 lessons I'm writing into that book, Finding Your Lifetime Partner. The first one is projectize it. There is such a word, by the way. Projectize is to make it into a project. My career has been more of really managing large projects like Megalink, the ATM switch, or like the BayanTrade, the e-procurement hub, or like the internal automation of BIR. So I really, there are skills when you want to achieve a goal, and there are ways to achieve that through little steps. You projectize it. And there are ways to remind yourself of your progress and make adjustments so that you reach your goal. So that's really what projectize means. So when I retired, when Ellen passed on, that's when I had a wake-up call. She was with me in my house, and Ellen, you said your boss, my sister. Yeah. So I had a wake-up call that I didn't want to die alone. And so I wanted to projectize looking for my 3rd husband. And the second principle is cast your net wide. If you can't find him within your immediate surroundings, especially in the Philippines, being at 54, where can I find somebody who And oh, the men might be looking for young ones there. And how can I? And we don't have divorce in the Philippines, so most men are happily married, already married, most available men. Most qualified men for me we're already married. They're my friends, so I can't wait for them. I just had to do my search. So I cast my net wide. Cast your net wide. Because if you don't cast your net wide, how can you find a good one? You will just make do with the one that's next door when he's been making you cry, So cast your net. I cast my net wide to the other part of the ocean, of the pond. I went to the United States because I felt there, and it's true, a lot of men are free and looking for their partners too because there's divorce. Most people are actually twice married already here. And it was here that I found the person who could be my lifetime partner and who is my travel buddy. He doesn't just support me. He's an active participant in my travel adventures, and actually he edits my work. Why? How can I be a writer in the English language? It's our second language. I mean, the idiomatic way of expressing yourself in American English is different. But he is my editor. All my work doesn't get published if it doesn't go through him. So he's my partner in two ways. One, he's my travel buddy. And number two, he's my editor. And number three, he's my financier.
Yeah, there you go. I'm certain Bill does a lot of the driving as well.
Oh, I don't drive.
Oh, okay.
I don't drive, and I only drive the golf cart. And whenever I drive the golf cart in our golf resort, the neighbors will call each other and say, "Hey, Carol is driving, don't go out." Because I can't drive. I can't drive a car. Neither can I drive an RV. So he did all the driving.
Mm-hmm. So to our viewers, please pay attention to what Carol is saying. Cast your net wide.
Wide.
Don't just go looking around your neighborhood. I mean, don't limit yourself.
Look how many people. Yeah, how many people did I have in my net? Millions. Guess what? After a few months being on the net, I had a date for Friday evening, Saturday evening, and Sunday evening. Wow. Yes, every week. So, did I have many people to choose from? Yes, I had many, many people to choose from. And the third principle that I'm going to put in the book is use an evaluation framework. Don't just be attracted to the first one who's handsome and then you don't look at the whole person. I use 7 Qs. I don't know if you know June Pagaduan Lopez. She coined this. She's a psychiatrist in the Philippines. 7 Qs. There's only, people think of IQ and EQ only. No, intelligence quotient and emotional quotient. There are 5 other Qs. So I ran all my candidates into that framework, and I chose Bill because he met every single one of the Qs. Wow. There's moral quotient. MQ is moral quotient. FQ is financial quotient. PQ is political quotient. The last one is desirability quotient. And spirituality quotient, SQ. What you believe in a higher being, okay. And then the last one is desirability quotient, which is the physical attractiveness. Usually people look at physical attractiveness first and gets hooked to the person who's most physically attracted to him or her. To me, I always use that IQ first. But then the most important among the Qs, you know what it is? Most important is EQ. Is how a person really adjusts to all kinds of situations. Because of all the problems you're going to have, Bill had the highest EQ of all my candidates. And you know how he showed that? My gosh, my family said, my granddaughter said, "Mama, if you're not going to choose Bill, I'm not going to talk to you anymore." he just, he was a friend of everybody, the whole family. Because he blended with everybody and he cared about everybody, not just me. So he was heaven sent. He's really a good find. Finding your lifetime partner is not hard if you projectize it, cast your net wide, and use a framework for deciding.
Wow. And everybody, if you want to be able to review everything that Carol has said, aside from watching this episode again, do get a copy of her book, which will be available on Amazon.
Not yet written. It's being written now. It will
Okay.
be available next year. The one about finding a lifetime partner, it will be available next year.
And can people find you aside from Facebook? Do you
Oh
have like
yes,
a LinkedIn presence?
I have everything. I'm in LinkedIn. I'm in Facebook. I'm in Twitter. I'm in YouTube. I'm in
Wow.
everything.
Yeah. So how do we find you on YouTube? What's the name of your channel?
Carolina Colborn. All of my
Okay.
all of mine are, you can always find me Carol Esguerra-Colborn in a lot of things. But my Twitter is Carol Cruising, my Facebook is Carol Esguerra-Colborn, and my Pinterest, also Pinterest, Carolina Cruising. So all of the social media, that's why I told you I spent 4 hours in social media. I propagate myself.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's my online platform.
Yeah. You know, you're one of the many successful stories that should encourage our viewers, because my own sister, for example, who was a missionary for Campus Crusade for Christ,
Oh
when
yes.
she hit the big 50 and she was still single, she pretty much gave up until a friend sponsored her on eHarmony, which is an
Oh
online,
yes.
yeah,
Yes.
matchmaking service.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And she found her husband, her ideal husband. But you know, I
Majority
love.
majority of relationships now in the US was founded using the internet. Majority now, huh? It's the
Yeah.
main platform for meeting your lifetime partners.
Hmm. So for all of you out there who's watching this and you're saying to yourself, you know, my life has ended because my husband passed away or
Oh
we
no.
broke up. No, it has not. Just
Yeah.
listen to what Carol is saying.
Just last
And
weekend at our golf resort, a couple of 80-year-olds got married.
holy
And that,
mo-
yeah, holy Moses. Yeah, it's not only 50s or 60s when I got married, but 80s. Yeah. And people
that's
at 90 play tennis there. So what do you
oh
think?
my gosh.
They live very active lives. Yes.
Hmm. Which means they seem to have found happiness and quality of life, because then they're motivated to stay healthy, to live longer.
To stay healthy, live longer, afford other things that you want to do, and meet the person. Even at 80, meet the person. Some of them even, because of their retirement plans or everything, don't get married. They just live
Mhm.
together because they don't want to bother their retirement structure, their retirement plan structures, their financial structures. But that's okay.
Yeah. You know, I was curious because one of the things that I think defines your life and your career as well was your sense of curiosity.
Oh
Uh,
yes.
could you tell us about that? Because you know, without that quality, that quality of passionate curiosity, I doubt that you would have traveled to so many different places if you weren't curious
Oh
about it.
yes. Yeah, I'm curious about a lot of things because do you know that we use only 8% of our brains? It's only
Mm.
8%. So people tell me, I'm not that bright. It's because you're that just not using a lot the resources that we're giving you. It's really a lot of if you really want to learn about things, why is the real question. Why is this thing there? Why is this thing existing? Why is it colored yellow? All those things. Then you will really realize there's so many things about life. It's called life because it's a very dynamic, a very dynamic. So many vitality factors are present every second of your life. And if you just pay attention, mindfulness, for example. I mean, this is as opposed to busyness. That's my problem. When I was working, I was so busy. I was really paying attention to a lot of things like this, paying attention to little things so that all your projects and all the employees and everybody will be doing everything in unison so you can achieve your goals and profitability and everything. That may be business, but see, when you're in this third part of your life where you're cruising, then it's really you're doing everything for enjoyment, and then you pay attention to little things that adds and heightens to the excitement because you never knew these things. The water just creeps into the thing, and you never don't even know that when you create the puddle, it's because of a little, a little drop that just got into it. And you say, oh, you look at these, and a little bee rests on a beautiful flower, and you use your camera for the macro function, and then you produce a photograph that for me won the first prize in macro photography. So you have all of these things. Imagine my enjoyment when I won that prize, and I was just interested with that little bee, and then I just took it with camera phones are so much better now. I got rid of my my Nikon,
Yeah.
Nikon, and I went to a mirrorless. But guess what? I even dropped my mirrorless camera, and I'm now into the camera phone, which is the Ultra. Samsung is the best camera phone now. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it for them. They're not paying me for advertisement or anything. But there's so much in life that, oh my gosh, I don't know. That's why I get so busy every day. I've planted so many flowers in our garden. I now have 11 lemons growing out of my dwarf lemon tree, and I'm waiting for my orange tree to have its first fruit. So all of these things, my God, I didn't do this before, but now they're all at your fingertips. At your fingertips, just pay attention to each one. And now you know what? I put a fountain in my porch, and now all the birds are coming to it because they sip water from it, and I get to see 12 birds in the morning when I wake up. You see how beautiful life is. Why should I not be curious? Why should you not find out? It's easy to find out, especially with your phone. Just Google it or ask Siri or ask Alexa, Siri or Alexa, and you will get the answer at the second you want it.
I'd like to draw a parallel between your life and the life of Gina Mapua. I don't know if you've met her or
Oh
know her.
yes, of course, yes, of
Yeah.
course.
Gina withdrew from the city, moved over to Nasugbu,
That's what I
Batangas, where she
understand. Yes.
lives with her husband. And she is so much happier now because she's into caring for her pets. Her I think last count were 11 dogs and
Yes.
her farm. And she's so much into cooking, and she's
Oh
living
yes.
a less stressful life. She's enjoying
Yes.
it.
Look at how I look. I even look less stressful than when you look. I look then. I can cook from 15 countries now. I have 15 countries dishes that I can cook now.
Oh my God.
Who would think? Who would think I could cook? And my
I
next
can.
project is painting, by the way.
Mm.
I've produced my first painting. I'm working on my second. It's my impressions about the places I've been to.
Wow.
So not just
Wow.
through photographs, but through paintings. Writing with words, and weaving with colors. So there are so many ways you can
Mm.
paint life, you can describe life, you can storytell. So many ways.
Based on what you're sharing, I can imagine several episodes where you could talk about cooking, you could talk about
Yes,
photography,
I have
you
a,
could
I
talk
have
about.
a, I have another book that's coming up, which is veggies beyond salads.
Whoa.
It is very, because vegetables are really very good for health. And salads are really very boring for a lot of people. And I've picked up so many recipes of vegetables beyond salads, where the big vegetable recipe of a country is so healthy and so delicious.
Mm.
So
I do believe I should let Gina look you up because she's so fanatically curious about cooking and cookbooks. If you, for example, in your travels, you found this ultra rare Spanish cookbook from the 16th century or something,
yes,
oh,
yes.
she would bow before you just to get a copy of that.
Pero
Wow.
nandun nga ako sa veggies beyond salads. I've written in my blog, there are 3 recipes there already. I'm trying to collect at least 30 to put into a cookbook.
Oh my gosh. People would buy that book. People would
Yes,
want
veggies
to
beyond
know
salads,
more.
yes.
Yeah. So when you think about cruising now, and you indeed are cruising past 70, what does the future look like for you?
Oh, I have a chapter on that in my last book, Cruising Past 70. I believe I will still travel. We bought a timeshare in Mexico where we stay 3 months of a year in Mexico, and it is for 20 years. And guess how many years I have just used?
Wow. Yeah.
I've just used 3 years. So definitely the next 17 years, you will find me in Mexico every winter when it's too cold for me in Phoenix. And when we're in Mexico, we go round and around, and Mexico is going to be one of the countries I'm going to travel. I'm going to cover extensively because I feel it's my second Philippines. It's 2 hours from Arizona, and still it's so much like the Philippines in cuisine, in language, in religion, in so many ways. And the people are as warm, with both Spanish heritage, the same. So you will find me still traveling. I still have 16 years. So 16 plus 73 is 89. Okay. So we have both invested enough in that. And we have 2 other timeshares at our lifetime, which give us another month in other countries. So we will definitely still be traveling. What I see changing is that we're going to be traveling more comfortably, more, because we are getting tired more easily. The body is really getting old. At 73, it's not as young as 23, although I look it.
Yep.
But
I'm sure that the viewers will say between the two of us, I look older.
it's only because I dyed my hair. No, no, no. So,
But
we have invested into traveling for more years, at least 15 more years, and more writing. So it will probably change, not just in style, a little bit in pace and in style. We look for more comfortable things now. We deserve it, probably,
I was told that currently you're in Canada, and,
Yes,
and
I'm
I'm
in Canada.
and I'm wondering, are you there to say like take a break, or is it because of this quarantine thing that you're somehow compelled to hang out there for now?
Oh
Or
no, we have the same number of cases in Canada as in Arizona. We both, our graphs are like that. Our graphs are like that. My daughter is here, and I haven't seen her for 2 years because of the lockdowns, and I was exempted as an immediate family member to enter Canada, even if it's not open to everybody yet. But I'm also, every time I go see my daughters, one lives in Melbourne, Australia, and I will be there next year. Another here in Canada, and another in San Francisco. So whenever I see them, those 3 cities, Calgary, Melbourne, and San Francisco, are also homes to me, and I travel it extensively. On this next few days, we will be camping in Waterton National Park, which is the National Park of Canada adjacent to Glacier National Park. It's almost like Glacier National Park in the US, but it's a Canadian national park. And we'll be camping there. And so I'm covering, we're also going to go to the Elk Island National Refuge here in Canada. So I try to cover as much of Canada as possible when I'm here. I hug my grandkids and I take them out to see the world.
and that's one reason why I'm such a big fan of your Facebook page, because I look forward to the new pictures, the new places that you go to. I'm so delighted because you are proof that you're never too old to explore, to walk around, and most people your age have just given up, but you haven't, and that should give them inspiration, to never give up. As long as you have breath in you, try to make the most of it.
Well, that's why in the beginning, as I said, through things, physical, you have to really care for your physical fitness, financial stability, and emotional stability. Those three are important. When you have those three, then your cruising years will be the best of time of your life.
Wow. All right. So I'd say that those were pretty much good words of advice from our guest tonight. And Carol, if you could share with our viewers final parting words, like maybe an encouragement to all those who are thinking about when they get to that part of their life when they're cruising. How can they maybe make it an easier aspect or an easier phase for them?
Some I lacked emotional stability, as I said. That's where I failed
Mm.
because my marriage failed. So I had to work on it. If you have one of those three things is not okay, then you have to work on it. The financial freedom may be as easy as finding a way. For example, here reverse mortgage in America. People have used that so that they can have more financial freedom and more enjoyment in their cruising years. But physical health is one thing that I don't know what to do if you don't have physical health at that time. So this is the most important thing is physical health. Please take care of it as early as you can. And
Yes.
what is it all about? Uh, Getting enough sleep, eating well, and exercising every day. I still exercise every day, by the way.
Mhm.
I have 30 minutes of aerobic exercise every day, and I never fail because I don't even have to work hard. If every day there's 30 minutes you can give to exercise, and I just put on the YouTube the video. I use Jenny McClendon. She's very good. Jenny McClendon is the one who's targeting 50-year-old and up, and her exercises are for us. And it's very easy. And as long as I do it every day, I don't even have to exert effort. And
Mhm.
also eating well. Those two come together. And then sleeping well. The main thing, I have a Fitbit. I never slept better without the Fitbit because it tells you your quality of sleep. Before, I used to worry about my sleep because my husband sleeps 8 hours, I sleep only 5 or 6. But guess what? When I got the Fitbit, I found out my sleep quality is so much better than his. And so I didn't worry anymore because my sleep quality is so good. Even though it's 6 hours, you will know from your Fitbit that your sleep quality is so good that you don't even have to worry. So I don't worry about my sleep anymore. And 6 hours is fine.
That's true. It's been proven that when you're asleep between the hours of 12 midnight till 3 a.m., that's when your bones can make more of those white blood cells that keep you healthy and your immune system strong. So please
Exactly.
listen to what Carol is saying about getting enough sleep.
Yeah.
So, mom, who just celebrated her birthday yesterday, told me that you have like an important event coming soon. Could you tell us more about that?
Oh no, I'm going to bring down the price of my books and not worry about them anymore. So it will be on August 25, 26. That's when it will happen. Uh, and I'll make an announcement on my social media pages.
Yeah, okay.
So
So
you can
guys,
get my books for a song.
so
It's my
please,
thank you to everybody.
yeah. So stand by for that announcement. Remember, Carol is available on all the social media outlets: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it, she's
YouTube,
there.
Pinterest, yes.
So thank you so much for taking time today to be with us in our show. And we wish you and Bill great travels, great experiences. And ladies and gentlemen, for our coming season ender, that's episode 12, we will have a topic called Leadership Under Pressure. And our guest will then be veteran broadcaster Barbie Atienza. And so, on behalf of the Leader's Edge, I'd like to thank Carol again. Carol, thank you so much. Hi to Bill. And remember, everybody, learning is a never ending journey with limitless vistas. Good night.